Okay everyone, welcome back to the pre-training content series. We know how it works, so we're just going to dive straight in. Today we're going to be talking about how to record your exercise footage and why I personally think it's one of the best things you can do to not only monitor your progress, but actually improve over time, okay? There's the 4 laws of training. We've spoken about this before in a little bit of detail, and it's going to be something that forms a central theme throughout the course of your entire time on the JTS system and throughout the majority of your training career. Consistency, specificity, individuality and progression. Recording exercise footage actually ties into all 4 of them. Consistency, okay? Obviously, within any kind of exercise that we perform, on top of exercise adherence, the motor skill that you're going to be performing within each of the given exercises has to be consistent, okay? And one of the best ways that we can establish that is by recording it. It allows us to establish test and retest reliability. Every time we implement an intervention, anytime we look to see improvements, we need to initially establish a baseline. When it comes to your technique improvements, if you don't know what that looked like when you first started, then you're not going to necessarily see the differences after the course of a training program that you've been following, or whether there's been any little cues that you've given yourself, any improvements that you've made that way. You need to be able to see the before and after. We need to also have the checklist of execution. So whenever you're watching one of the exercise demonstrations, you'll hear the audio clip, you'll see the kind of generalized execution that I tend to recommend to everyone before we go into the nitty-gritty of adapting it to you as an individual, and you can assess your individual technique relative to that checklist of execution. And it also allows you to highlight what we need to work on in the future. So whether that comes from technique improvements, whether it's certain muscular imbalances that need to be addressed, again, videoing that will show us what we need to work on. So how to record, just a couple of tips. Again, might be something that you're absolutely familiar with, but you might also pick up a few tips as well. We recommend to take a shot from the side, okay, because this allows you to establish the most optimal bar path relative to weight distribution and so on for pretty much all of the movements, whether it's the bench press, military press, squat, deadlift, all the other different variations, but then also video from the front at a slight angle, okay? Videoing directly from the front doesn't necessarily give us too much information, with the possible exception of knee valgus and varus on things like the squat. But again, videoing from a slight angle also gives you that data, just along with the kind of bar path position that we were talking about earlier. So that was just a quick video on why recording your exercise footage is absolutely invaluable, and a couple of tips on how to do it. I hope that all makes sense and gives you a few tips. As always, stay strong, get ready for the session, and I'll see you on the next one.